Hi, I'm Life Coach Landry, and the topic is things that are destroying a loving relationship. I'm going to give you 9 things that are just absolutely scorching your relationship right now. It's June, it's hot where I live, it's scorching outside, so I thought, what are 9 things that are just burning up relationships right now, okay? So I'm going to give you 9 things, and I'll recap at the end as usual. And I want you to think about whether you do any of these. If you do at least 5 out of these 9, then you are harming your relationship right now, okay? All or nothing trap. You see your partner as either always doing the wrong thing and never doing the right thing, right? So, look, we're not talking about if you're vacuuming. You know, if they're vacuuming and you're like, hey, I like the pattern like this, that's just preference. But if they are out driving and you're like, you need to stay in this lane, I don't like the way you do that. Well, you know, there's some things that start to stack up on people over time. Everybody's picky to some degree. I mean, you chose your partner because they had certain things you wanted, right? So we're all doing things to get things the way we want them so that we have the right thing. But you can be overly critical. And I'm not talking about projects and things you're working on together where you're trying to perfect something. I'm talking about with your relationship, okay? Catastrophic conclusions. Okay, one partner exaggerates negative actions in events concerning the partner. So, let's say your partner bounced a check, and you sit there and you go, "Nope, we're going to the poorhouse. That's it. We're going to be out of money. You're screwing everything up. Our savings is going to get blown," and all they did was bounce one check. That would be catastrophic conclusions of stuff like that. Okay. The next one is going to be the should bomb. Okay, the should bomb's a pretty big one. One partner assumes the other will meet one or more of their needs just because he or she should know what they need. This all comes down to communication and the foundation of the relationship. Now, when you get in a relationship with somebody, you should tell them what your main needs are. They should tell you what their main needs are, and that should be talked about on something you can do for each other. Beyond that, hey, you didn't put Brussels sprouts in my meal today. Every Wednesday at 3 o'clock I like Brussels sprouts. And it's one of those, was that said at the beginning of the relationship? Was that something that was going on? But there are things they should know, right? If you're sexually intimate with each other, you should kind of have, your preferences by now. If she likes to be slapped on the butt and you like to have dirty things said to you, well, then that's your prerogative. Those kind of things should be worked out. But don't do the shoulds with really silly things when you're at the grocery store and be like, I like the cart that has, an extra thing on the wheel versus the one that doesn't. Don't be silly about it. Label slinging. You unfairly and negatively label your partner and lose sight of their positive qualities. Okay, I would say it's important that maybe once a month should always be telling someone what their positive qualities are. Like the girl that I'm with, I like to tell her, you have great legs. Oh my God, your legs look fantastic today. I love your hairs like this. Guys, your eyes are so gorgeous. You should be saying things like this to your partner. You don't got to say them all the time. If you say them all the time, you're going to look fake, ungenuine. Don't be that person. But you do want them to know that you care about them and that you still have attraction to them and you still think about them when they're not around. People need to know these things. It doesn't have to be every day. But I say at least once a week, say something positive. Make sure they know that you said it. Make sure it's something that you see register with them so those things are working. But mean them, okay? If you say them all the time, it's going to feel like you don't mean them. Don't be that guy. And I have a video on those type of men for women. Any guy who compliments you constantly and is constantly going out of their way to be sweet, those are ones to watch out for, actually. The blame game. You unfairly and irrationally blame your partner for relationship issues or bigger issues. Like, you went to work today and you come home and you're just in a bad mood. You're like, my life sucks because of you. I didn't get to be this person I wanted to be because of you. Those are typically letting everybody know that I can't handle life, therefore I pass what's wrong on to you. Okay? Emotional circuits with people. This is the next one. Emotional circuits happen when people short out, when their partner becomes convinced that their emotions can't be handled. Okay? So it's one of those things where, let's say you're at work and you're talking to your friends. You're like, no one could ever handle that woman. That woman's emotionally crazy. You're with her. You're with that person. So maybe it's emotionally crazy for you, but maybe you're with the wrong person then. Or maybe she's at work and she's very dismissive of, you know what? He just requires too much. He requires too much. That's not for me. They're short circuiting, right? And when people do that, they're convincing themselves that that their partner can't be handled. That's not healthy. Okay. Another one is overactive imagination. I got that word right. Yeah? Overactive imagination. In this case, it's when you're constantly sitting around and you haven't talked to them, you're assuming the worst. They're talking to their ex-boyfriend. They came home an hour late. I know they're doing something they're not supposed to. I bet they signed back up to go play golf at some golf course because they don't want to be around me on the weekends anymore. Those kind of people have overactive imaginations, and they're sitting there just constantly thinking of reasons why you don't love them enough, okay? Head game gamble. This is one of the worst. This usually has a lot to do with bad relationships before you. You try to outsmart your partner by erroneously assuming he or she has certain motives, okay? He's only being nice to me because he wants to do this. She's only being nice to me or doing this because she's got something else going on the side. Or they haven't called me because they're waiting for me to call them. They're purposely ignoring me. These are head games. And sometimes someone might tell you, I haven't contacted you because I needed a little time to myself. Did they tell you that? If they didn't tell you that, then the other partner is going to assume they're playing a game. Now you're playing dangerous games with your relationship. Stupid, dumb, don't do it. It will cost you in the end. Every relationship that I've ever coached, anybody I've ever known, that gets mad and says, I'm not doing this because of this, or I didn't call them because of this, or I didn't communicate because of this, ultimately always wants that person back when that person said, I've had enough, I'm out. Almost every time that person's like, I screwed up. At the moment, I could justify it to myself. At the time, I didn't care whether they wanted to talk to me or not. But once that person's completely gone, they almost always want them back. Don't play head games with your relationship. It will burn you, okay? Disillusionment, and the doom factor. These are the people who they focus on expectations that are rooted from their past relationships. My ex always gave me love letters every morning. How come you don't do that for me? Okay? This is a dooming factor for relationships. Your last relationship ended. It's over. They don't want to be with you anymore, or you didn't want to be with them. For whatever the reason was, you're no longer together and you're with someone new. The reason your past relationship ended is because it wasn't going to work long term. So whatever patterns were making you happy in it, they obviously weren't good enough to keep you there. So getting with someone new and thinking those patterns should exist in your new relationship is setting you up for failure. Okay, it's so mind-boggling when I meet people and I talk to people and they tell me this kind of stuff going on. I just want to sit there and be like, oh my God, what are you thinking? Your next relationship is not your last relationship. If your last relationship was so good, you wouldn't be talking to this person at all. You'd still be with them. Okay? Give your new relationship new patterns, new traditions, new expectations. And if some of those things from your past relationship are things you need, well, that should have been known during dating in the beginning so that person knew that was an expectation, not a desire. Okay? Don't treat your new relationship like your past. Your past is over for a reason. And don't go back to your past relationship when your new one fails or is having issues, because you will basically be running from the problem, recreating it again, living in the past, going through the same things you went through that ended in the first place, only to realize I should have stuck with the one that I was currently working with things on, the new relationship. People just, sometimes this is just a bad deal. Okay, so I'm going to recap for you. Let me scroll up here, make sure I got my notes right. The all or nothing trap, number one. Okay, catastrophic conclusions. The should be, label slinging people. The blame game, lack of accountability, overactive imagination when you don't hear from them, head games on timing, who should call who, why you shouldn't call them, and then just being caught up in your past relationships and applying them to your next relationships. Bad idea. Don't do it. Take my advice. 100% of the time, that is a failure rate. Okay? So I hope this information was helpful to you. This was a pretty detailed little synopsis of what's going on out there with couples who just constantly destroy their relationships and scorch them and burn them when they're totally in love with the person. And that's what's alarming. Most of the people that do these things are in love with who they're with. That's what's crazy. And I don't like to see people after the fact realize they made a mistake. Let me help you find out that you're doing these things during it. Turn it around and keep the person you love and want to be with, okay? Contact me at the link below if you want to talk anytime, and I'll talk to you soon.